right, we're live.
And we're live. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully we've got a few folks that are starting to make their way in. Just a quick introduction. My name is Tanner Kochever. I'm joined with Tim Schreckengast and Kira Nielsen. And today we're going to talk about the basics of digiscoping with your phone or phonescoping. And we'll walk you through the different types of phonescope cases, whether it's a universal attachment or a specific attachment. We'll also talk about how to select the right camera and some of our cases that are adjustable and have sliding, so you can center it over the telephoto or the wide angle. So with the chat feature, if everyone, looks like we got a few folks in here now. Welcome. Rich, Gary, Kelly, Linda, Christy, thanks for joining us. Yes, great question, Kiara. Is everyone hearing us? Are we coming through okay?
Good. Yeah, Linda says, is the sound on? So just wanted to double check.
Hopefully the sound on.
It may be a little bit of internet issues. So reset your feed if that's what you're getting. Not that will help. I'll type that in the chat if she can't hear.
Hey guys, drop in where you're watching from today, so we can see where everyone's at. Maybe you can make a new friend.
There you go. Get a little phonescoping club together.
That's right.
Perfect. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, we've got some people shuffling in. California, Missouri. Awesome.
West coast of Canada. Shorebirds moving down the coast. Love it, dude.
Nice.
Salt Lake.
Welcome.
Emily from Wright and Optics. Cool.
Anybody coming in from St. Louis? Flying out tomorrow. Heading down for a show.
Amsterdam, that's awesome.
Hey, Maurice.
Columbus, Ohio, waiting on the shorebirds.
Send them down.
Cool.
So we got a couple people that are chatting in the Q&A only option. Make sure you're in the chat option, or everyone won't see.
Yep. So if you have any specific questions, we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you want to drop those questions into that Q&A, that would be great. But the chat is just more of a general chat. Go ahead and talk about what you'd like, comments. But any specific questions, like, favorite spotting scope, or what phone do we like using, things like that, please drop those into the Q&A.
Yep. We'll give it 5 minutes in here, guys. Appreciate your patience, just to make sure we get enough, not just any stragglers, let them come in. But we've been pretty consistent, 50, 52 watchers here. So, yeah, we'll just give it another minute, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Like Tanner said, we're going to do Q&A at the end. If there is a pressing question or like a really specific question, Kiara is going to let us know from the Q&A. If we get a bunch of questions about a specific subject, we are going to kind of stop the presentation and then address that. That way it's more relevant than doing it all at the end. So appreciate everyone coming and hanging out with us today. And yeah, we'll get started here in about 30 seconds.
Yes, Linda, this is the Q&A. We'll be doing the Q&A after a brief presentation, probably 20, 30 minutes, and then we'll jump into that Q&A.
But that's, you're in, Linda, you are in the chat section, though.
I understand that.
So yeah, again, sorry, it's a little confusing. This webinar software offers a chat option and then a Q&A only option. And you can toggle back and forth as an attendee. So we don't bog down the Q&A only section. We ask you leave your chat in the chat and then drop your questions in the Q&A only.
Cool. All right, should we get started, guys? We're heading on 6 minutes here. Everybody hanging out? Cool. All right, we're going to start the presentation. Hopefully everybody can see us and hear us. If you have any issues with that, just drop a comment and Kiara will let us know. So we'll get started here. All right, guys, so this is just a basic smartphone digiscoping workshop. We're not going to go into anything super advanced or super technical with this workshop, just the very, very basics of digiscoping with your phone. So what is digiscoping? Digiscoping is just the holding a camera up, any kind of camera, up to an optic, so spotting scope, binoculars, telescope, anything like that, and taking a picture through it. So that's just the very basic principle of digiscoping. Digiscoping has been around for years, probably, you know, I don't even, 70s, 80s, maybe before that. It's been around for a long, long time, even with old film cameras, which is pretty cool. So, you know, what is Phonescoping? That's just using your phone to do the exact same thing. So taking your phone and holding it up to your optic to take a picture through that, and that's going to be the focus of our presentation here. You know, that's what Phonescope is. That's what Phonescope does. Just helps you take better pictures with your phone through your spotting scope. All right, so what do you need to get started Phonescoping? Pretty darn simple. You just need a phone and an optic. For the most part, I imagine most of the people on the webinar here are going to use a spotting scope or a pair of binoculars. We are really going to focus this presentation on the spotting scope side of it, but if you do have binocular questions, definitely ask those as well, because we are prepared to answer those. So it's just that simple, guys. You just need a phone and some sort of optic to take pictures, and you can get started digiscoping today. So Tanner, do you want to take over this one?
Sure. So we dropped a poll in there. Looks like most of you here have used the Phonescope or currently using it, but we do have some new users or potential users. So thanks for stopping by. So let's jump into the cameras. Here I've got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'll just pop it out of the Phonescope case and I can show you the camera layout. So this particular phone, you've got 3 camera lenses. Hopefully you all can see that. There we go. So this is the wide angle, super wide, not useful for digiscoping in any way. So we do not utilize that with the Phonescope case. Then with this particular phone, this is your wide angle and then your telephoto. We get a lot of questions, you know, which lens should I use? If you do have an option between a wide angle and a telephoto, which is the best to use? And up until maybe the last 2 years, I would have told you the wide angle, just for the purpose of gathering light. The telephotos, not great at gathering light, very grainy footage. But with these new phones, they have come a long way with those telephoto lenses, and they work extremely well in low light now. So, you know, starting with, I would say the iPhone 10, the telephoto lens was good. And up from there, the 11 to the 12, along with the Samsung, the S20, the telephoto works really well and helps a ton with getting rid of the vignette. And with Phonescope, we are the only digiscoping case on the market that will allow you to quickly and easily adjust between the wide angle, and just with moving this button or this tab here, just pop that up and then just slide the disc up. Now you're centered over your telephoto. So we'll get into more of, how to use those, when to use those here in just a minute. But that's your basic breakdown on cameras. The new Samsung phones, they do have a crazy long super zoom lens, and that doesn't work well with Phonescoping, basically because the way it zooms, it has to try and look through all the way through the tube, and you don't see that till you're about 50 or 60x, and the footage just looks terrible. So stick with the wide angle or the basic telephoto lens.
Cool. So, like I said, the focus of the presentation today is going to be on using your phone with a spotting scope. Like I said, if you do have questions about binoculars, please ask those as well. Just your basic spotting scope overview. You have your eyepiece, which some eyepieces are fixed magnification, so it's just like a straight 30x magnification, so 30 times, or it's a range of magnifications like 20 to 60x, and then your focus. So some spotting scopes have a dual focus knob, like pictured here, where one is a coarse focus and the other is a fine focus. Some just have one focus wheel, so it's kind of depending on like the speed you focus at, if it'll be coarse or if it will be fine focus. And then the other very important piece of the spotting scope for digiscoping is the objective lens size. So I'm gonna just kind of do a little quick demo on that. I actually can't see anything on my screen right now, guys, so I'm just kind of going with it. But so right here I have two spotting scopes. Let me make myself max. So I have two spotting scopes, a 60 millimeter and a 99 millimeter objective on here. Now, most of the time with these smaller objective lens, your zoom is not going to be as great as the bigger spotting scope. So this is a 15 to 45 power, or magnification. And then the bigger scopes like this, most of your 80 to 85 millimeter scopes are going to be 20 to 60 magnification on the zoom eyepiece, and then these bigger scopes are going to go up to 70 power on the magnification. And then right here is the focus wheel. So you have the coarse focus right here, this bigger knob, and then this is the fine focus as well. So everything kind of plays a part in the digiscoping, but those are the very basic pieces of a spotting scope that we focus on whenever we are digiscoping. How are we doing on any questions yet, Kiara?
Oh, sorry. We did have one. We can answer it now. The question was, will we be offering the iPhone 12 Pro or any of the iPhone 12 cases in an OtterBox Defender option? So we can answer it now, or we can answer it later, whatever you guys want.
We'll answer it now. For the OtterBox case, we haven't seen a lot of demand. We have seen some demand for that OtterBox Defender case adapter. At this time, we don't have anything in the works, but it may be something that we work on later in the year, or possibly the first of 22. With our new Phonescope cases, and this was something that we made a point to make it more protective, more durable. We've added the rubber bumpers in all four corners to help with shock absorption. And then we also have these open cell foam strips on the inside of the case, so that it's a free floating case design, so that your phone sits in there, dust and dirt will just pass through. It's not coming in contact with your phone and scratching it that way. But then also each corner is raised, so that if it does drop face down, it's going to hit those corners instead of the phone. So that is something we're making an effort to do, is to make these cases more protective. But to answer your question, not at this time, but do keep an eye out. Hopefully we'll have some more information for you later this year.
Cool. So we'll go on from the spotting scope. So now we'll kind of bring everything together, bring the phone and the spotting scope together, and talk more about Phonescoping and what you need to get started with that. So you know, if you're on here, you're likely familiar with the Phonescope and what it does. And just like any other Digiscoping adapter, and what that means is just allowing you to attach your phone to the spotting scope. And so when we talk about Digiscoping adapters, we have phone and optic specific setups, and then we have universal setups. So the phone specific are designed specifically for your model of phone. Same for the optic adapter, is designed for your spotting scope. And that's the most simple solution there is. So you just pull your phone out that's in the case already, you lock the optic adapter in, and you're filming or taking pictures in just a few seconds. The universal setups take a little longer. Yes, you can kind of go back and forth between phones and optics with those. They just take a little longer to set up with whatever your current Digiscoping setup is. So Tanner, do you want to? I think you already talked about the phone specific and optic specific, but do you want to kind of go over that again?
Sure. Yep. So with your Phonescope, you've got your case, got your optic adapter, and then you will need your optics. So 3 pieces. This optic adapter drops into the case, and just sorry about that, just a quarter turn, and that locks the optic adapter into the Phonescope case. Again, slide the phone in. And from there, it's a friction-based fit, so it just slides right onto the eyepiece. So you just slide it down like so, go into your camera app, and you're ready to go. You can also do it in a landscape or portrait, just depending on the type of footage you're getting, or even in some cases with the eye relief. This is a really common problem. If you have it out with your scope, it tends to drop down like that. So what we recommend doing, either putting it portrait so that all the weight is down here, so it's not pulling this down, but to put the bottom of the phone on this side so that it pulls against that stop and it stays in place, so that your phone isn't rotating down. So that's really the basics to getting your phone onto the eyepiece. I think here in just a few minutes, we'll dig deeper and we'll look at the difference between a wide angle and a telephoto, and then how to adjust that eye relief. I can also run through that now if that's something we want to address.
We should actually hit that pretty soon. Let's
yeah, no, we can hop in there.
let me see.
Quick question, guys.
Yep.
Just in case other people have this question, Jason was wondering, the Samsung A42, have we had the demand for that phone, and are we going to be making that case?
At this time, no. I would suggest the Lollipop for that one. But the A42, I believe we've seen a few requests for lately, so that could change. What I would suggest doing is sending an email to support@phonescope.com, and just let us know that you're looking for that Samsung A42, and we'll get you in a list for that phone. So if it does become available, we will notify you directly.
And that goes for anybody, anyone looking for any phone case. Please let us know what you're interested in, and we will aim to please.
Absolutely. So we'll hop into the camera apps. There is, of course, the standard camera app that comes on your phone. It does work fairly well, but if you have a system that has 2 camera lenses, that is where you may run into some trouble. Mainly because as you're switching from your wide angle or your telephoto, if the sensor on the phone is not sensing enough light getting to the camera lens, it will try and switch to the other lens. And with the Phonescope, you can only center one perfectly at each time, so that it's looking through the eyepiece. So I will just kind of demonstrate how to work around that. So let's start here with just your standard camera app that comes on the Apple phone. I just want to demonstrate when you go to Zoom, the kind of issues that you might run into, and why our Phonescope camera app that is free gives you a lot more flexibility with that. So hopefully you can see that. For some reason, my preview screen is black, but I think it's pretty well lined up with the camera. So this is on 1x, and as we zoom in, as you can see, it switches over to that 2.5x. So that's where the issue comes in, and why we recommend the Phonescope camera app. So let me hop over into there. So now that we're in the app, just going to select spotting scope, and by default, it will go to the wide angle lens. So I'm going to drop that on there. So there we go. There's your 1x. But what's cool is you have this button here at the top. Press that, and it switches to the 2.5x lens. And that's going to help a lot with your vignetting. I'll just show you here. So just pay attention to see we've got some vignette there. Sorry, I don't have anything cooler to look at in my office, but this is the vignette. So let me switch that over to the 2.5x lens. Okay, so the adapter plate is slid in place. Now we switch the camera. There we go. And we do still have a little bit of a dark edge on that side, but as you can see, it's more of a full frame image and less vignetting. And that's what's super cool about that Phonescope camera app, is that you can set that, lock it in place. As you can see, we've got the dreaded rotation. So just drop it onto the other side. I'm going to hop into one other quick tip. So hold on, bear with me a moment. What I like doing is, if you find that your phone is, off center, it's not perfectly rotated, this is when I like to use the collar, the rotating collar on your spotting scope, because you can rotate this piece, and there you go. Now your image is level, shouldn't affect it whatsoever, but now you're not trying to tinker with your eye relief and keep that all in place. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully I haven't confused folks. After COVID, I'm a little rusty, but we're getting better at the live demos all the time.
Cool.
I just want to make sure everyone understood that. If we've gotten a couple questions about what app or apps would we suggest people using other than the standard camera app. Obviously, our Phonescope camera app, we suggest number one. It's built for Digiscoping specifically. Again, that's the Phonescope camera app, and that's both for Android and iPhone. Let's see, could you please show more clearly how you switch camera apertures on the case again?
Yeah.
Switch back and forth between lenses.
Yeah. So on this disc, this is the 12 Pro Max. Inside the adapter plate is a little piece that moves, a post, if you will. So you will just pull that up. I'm trying to figure out the best way to demonstrate that. Pull that up right there. And then we do have it in the top position. So we're going to pull that up and slide the adapter plate down. So now it's centered over your wide angle. Again, if you go up, just pull that post up and then slide to the top. You can also slide it into the center, pop it off, and there's your everyday protective case.
Perfect. We have a question about turning off the low light flash within the app.
Sure. Yep. So if we go into the app, Phonescope camera app. Let's see here. There we go. So hopefully you can see it, but in that top bar, you'll see the flash icon, and it says off right now because I have it turned off. But that button right there, you'll press that. Hopefully I'm hitting it. I'm not. There we go. So you press that, that bar pops up, and then you'll just select off. It should, right now it's probably on auto. So you just switch that off, and then you're ready to go. No more flash. You do not want flash when you're Digiscoping, that's for sure.
No, you don't. Can you walk quickly through the plates? We've got a question about an iPhone 8 Plus, which looks a little different, as well as the iPhone 10.
Sure. Yep, so great question. These are our newer cases, ones that we're probably, I think this is our 4th generation of case. So the 8 Plus, that one does not have the post in it. So you just slide it up, over, and then down. We do have a video that shows that on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and just search, Phonescope, iPhone 7 Plus, 8 Plus, that should pop up and show you live how that works with that 8 Plus. With the iPhone 10, that one does have an adjustment on the side. I wish I had one of those discs right here with me, but I do not. But the style of that disc, it's over here on the side of it. So you will pull it out or push it in, and then there are 2 grooves that will fit into.
Thank you, Tanner. I'm going to drop the YouTube links for the 10 and the 8 in the chat as well.
Thank you. Yep, I just saw that come through.
Looks like there was one question on the rifle scope setting. Is the low light flash off setting available on that? In the app?
It should be disabled, because it isn't on the rifle scope, but that should be disabled in that particular camera. If it's not, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and that is definitely something we'll address in a future update.
And if you guys have any feedback at all on the apps, like if you've used them, if you have used the app, the camera app, or our video editing app, or have used or are downloading it today, and you use it and have any feedback at all, please send that over to us at support@phonescope.com, so we can continue to make that experience better for you. Cool. Are we ready to any other questions?
Linda's having some trouble with her iPhone 10 case. There's that. Kira, thanks for dropping that in there. Linda, if that doesn't help you, we can get on a call once we're done with the presentation, and we can get you sorted out on the iPhone 10.
Yep. Autofocus on the iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Sure.
Any suggestions?
Yep, David. So with the autofocus, and it depends which camera app you're using. The Phonescope camera app does have a manual focus. I'll show you that here. Hopefully, can you guys see that all right? Sort of.
My screen's black too, so.
Gotcha. So over here on this side, because we are in portrait, or sorry, we're in landscape, but this is your focus adjustment here in the Phonescope camera app. So we have a manual focus there, or you can tap the screen like you would with an iPhone. But if you're using just the standard Apple camera app, what I like doing, again, it's going to be tough because I'm inside. We definitely need to do a seminar where I'm outside and I can do some live Q&A there. That would be really cool. Again, you can tap the screen, but also you can press and hold, and that will lock your focus. So if your subject, if you've got it and it's, maybe it's up on a branch or on the top of a ridge line, you can just press on that subject and that will lock it. That didn't work. And that will lock it in place if you hold it. So that should help with the focusing. So yeah, if not, let us know.
Richard, we're going to get to eye relief here in a sec. I believe we're almost to like common problems in the slideshow. So we'll kind of bounce to that real quick. Touched on the camera apps. Yep. So here we go. So here's a list of common problems that we kind of wanted to address and what we see the most as far as frequently asked questions. You know, again, I'm not sure if you guys can see me or Tanner. Hopefully you can. But common problems, the biggest one is probably the vignetting, and you can see that in the top right image here on the slideshow on the presentation. That black ring around the picture. So that is what vignetting is. Also, you know, black ring, whatever whatever you want to call it. A couple ways to get rid of that. What I like to do is I like to use a combination of the optical zoom. So on the spotting scope, if you do have a zoom eyepiece, so I use a combination of that with a little bit of zoom on the phone to get rid of that. And that when you use a combination of those two, it really doesn't take away from the quality of the picture. Where if you use too much of the zoom with the phone or with the spotting scope, when you kind of max out either one of those, the quality of your content or your media that you're creating or documenting does go down. Tanner, do you have anything else on vignetting?
Yeah. Yep. So I'm set up right now. I'm showing the vignette on my phone here. I've got it on the spotting scope. We're just looking at the wall, but you can still see the vignette. So we'll start here. So see where we've got this black edge. You can see the clear edge of the optic where the phone's looking through. This tells me that the optic adapter is not flush with the eyepiece. We'll pull it off. You can see we've got a lip here. So that just make sure that your optic adapter is flush on your spotting scope. And then in some cases, you just need to make a small adjustment. So if, say in this case, the bottom still has some vignette, I just bring that down a little bit, and that helps to clean that up. Another way to really help address that issue is playing with the eye relief. So now I've got my eye relief all the way down, and you can see we're back to having some vignette here around the image. So I'm going to twist that eye relief out. And looky there, nice and crisp on the edges. That's what you want. So with those crisp edges, now you can go in, adjust the magnification, but look, more vignette. So this is something why I always tell folks, practice, 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 because every optic is different. So here we've got the zoom maxed out 70x, and we're bringing this down a little bit, and that's looking pretty good. You do have a little bit of vignette here, but you're going to have that at a max zoom range with most of your scopes. Ideally, middle of the zoom range, that's going to take care of a lot of those issues. And that's vignetting with the 1x. If we switch to the 2.5x telephoto lens on the 12 Pro Max, you're going to see we have almost no vignetting. That is why the telephoto lens is one of my favorites for sure, because it does allow you some extra flexibility to make that image exactly what you're looking for. We'll just adjust the eye relief a little bit, and as you can see, we still have great field of view, no real soft edges. So just practice. Practice is key to get those really nice images.
Cool. So do you want to touch on, I know you kind of just did, do you want to go into anything else on the magnification or eye relief? There was a question about eye relief. Yeah. And then also, is there a preference on having the eye relief in or out?
There is no preference. What I was just demonstrating there with when you have your your eye relief adjusted out or in. With a spotting scope in particular, because this lens is adjustable, you have glass in there that's moving closer and further away. So that's where, as depending on your scope, if you zoom it out and it's moving this piece closer, then you may need to adjust your eye relief down, or you may need to move it away. It does get kind of messy. There doesn't really seem to be a general cure-all. Every optic is different. It depends on your, the exit pupil, as well as your objective diameter lens. The bigger your objective is, the less vignette you're going to have. But you may find yourself getting more of that vignette, depending if you're maxed out on the zoom, or the eye cup's down or up. Generally, middle of the zoom range. This is what I tell folks for spotting scope. Middle of the zoom range and that eye cup out, you should be able to get decent results with that. But again, every setup is different. Practice, practice, practice.
And then talk a little bit about zoom with the scope and bino versus zoom with the camera. Are there situations where one is better than the other?
Sure. I would say optical zoom is that is the best by far. Going to give you the best image. Tim kind of touched on that just a few minutes ago. But for me, I always try and use as much optical zoom as possible. Again, when you get into that top of the zoom range, if it's a 60x scope, for example, Vortex Razor 20 to 60, you're going to have your best results at 40 to 50. Once you top out, you start getting a lot of distortion. So I would avoid digital zoom if possible. But if it is a phone camera that has a 1x lens and you've still got a little bit of a vignette, if you use a little digital zoom, maybe up to 1.5x, even 2x in some situations, depending on light, you should still be able to get some really nice images.
Christy asked, what is eye relief? And basically, eye relief is the distance your eye is from the lens. So how you can adjust that on your spotting scope or binoculars is just by twisting the eye cup out or in. So it's just that distance that your eye or the phone camera is from the lens of the optic. If you want to show that, Tanner.
Yeah. So this, I'll just peel this protective cover down just a little bit. This is a cover that we sell for the ATX and STX Swarovski scopes. You can find those on Phonescope.com. But here's your eye cup, and that's at the very bottom. So then you'll twist that out, and you'll find to get that correct eye relief, like I was showing on the phone, you want to make sure that you have just those nice crisp edges. Might be able to now. Let me switch to the 1x lens and I'll just show that one more time. So eye relief. All right, so we're going to twist this down. Let's see what we have. So we have this, not my favorite. So twist that out and we'll put the phone on there. And not bad. We've got some fairly clear edges, crisp edges, as you can see. But as I twist that down, we start getting some of that vignette, and that's just something that you'll adjust with that eye relief, and that camera will get to that perfect distance. But start with it out, start with your eye relief out, and then work down from there, especially if you're on higher magnification.
Quick question. Shooting horizontal versus shooting vertical. Is there a good or a bad or a better or anything like that?
Really, it's personal preference and the situation you're in. Usually I will go horizontal or landscape just because, having it positioned like this, then if you want to play it back on your laptop or a TV, definitely try and put it on TV. It looks awesome. I like going the landscape route.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a personal preference and kind of what you're looking to get out of whatever you're digiscoping. So if you like the portrait mode, how the subject that you're phone scoping looks in portrait versus landscape, and then whichever you think is going to be better for that situation, and also kind of how you're going to use the media. So if you're just going to put it, like what Tanner said, if you want to watch it back on your laptop or on the television, something like that, or put it on YouTube, landscape is preferred for that situation. And all like portrait, if you're just putting that on your social media or sending it to friends or putting it on like Instagram or Facebook stories, something like that, then your portrait mode is going to work just fine for that. Let's see, on the vertical versus landscape, would it matter for social media posts? So social media, Instagram. So portrait, if you want to, we could talk all day about social media and kind of what those platforms prefer. In portrait mode, for the stories for sure, portrait is best for that because it fits the format of the application and the social media app. And then sounds good, Christy. And then landscape is good for just in the feed. I really like that. You can use various editing tools to crop to a square, or on Instagram, you could crop when you go to post on Instagram, you could crop within the app your video to a square as well. So, if you can kind of turn the video, whether you shoot a portrait or landscape, into whatever formation you want or whatever sizing with a little bit of editing on, within the apps. So please, this I'm watching the Q&A as well, Kiara. So please talk about long range shots. That was on this on the common problems part anyway. So Tanner, do you shoot more long range than I do probably?
Yeah. So with far distance, far off digiscoping, it can be critical. Timing is critical more there than ever, just because, towards the middle of the day, you're going to start to get a lot of the atmospheric distortion. I've always wanted to drop that in there. So there you go. Or heat rays, or the heat shimmer. And so that is the first thing that will kill your long range video. If you're looking to really stretch it out, you can go into the 70x and then go to your telephoto camera on your phone if that's an option, and then even zoom that in a little bit. But the big difference between good long range and bad is really just the timing during the day. If it's early or late, that's going to be your best chance at being able to see things. Because as that sun rises, smoke and whatever's in the atmosphere, if it's dust, whatever, is really going to spoil that. So as soon as possible or as late as possible in the day.
Yep.
So, hit those golden hours.
Yeah,
right.
An hour, the first hour after sunrise and the last hour before sunset. If you're out, they're at first light or last light, you're kind of going to run into the same issues, similar issues with the quality of video, depending on how far the subject is, and just how big your objective lens is and how well your spotting scope is at gathering light. That all kind of plays a factor into the quality of your videos or pictures that you're going to take.
Absolutely. Optics in the camera, those make a big difference. Customers ask us all the time, what's the best optic? And usually my answer is the best optic you can afford, whatever your budget allows you. That makes a big difference in the quality of glass and then your overall image quality. Also, if it is early, try and get the sun at your back. I realize that's not always possible, but if you're looking long range, the sun's working with you instead of fighting, looking into it. That's going to help a ton. I realize that kind of seems obvious, but just something to consider.
While we're here, there was a question about why, it's specific to the S20 FE, why we don't tap into that 3-time optical lens. But also, I would assume it would go along with why we're not going with that ultra wide angle lens. Why don't we use all the lenses on the phones?
In some cases it's the lens that, lens doesn't work with digiscoping. It's a mechanical thing. That S20 FE, I am not super familiar with. That's one I'd have to work on. Our engineers, I would assume, took that into consideration, and there was a reason that 3X lens, wasn't working correctly. But I apologize. That's not a phone that I have a lot of experience with.
And there was another distance question, more of a technical question. Vortex Razor 80 millimeter and Galaxy S21 Ultra. Watching wolves far away, they use 60 power on the scope. What will help focus or clear the images?
Kind of the same thing. That razor I've used quite a bit, and it's the same with a lot of your other longer, larger optics, bigger magnification. That scope I really loved between 40 and 50. Yep. But as with most scopes, once you get to that, the top into that 60, it really starts distorting it. So Richard, what you might try is, 40 or 50 power, take that eye cup, zoom that eye cup out. And then with that S21, with our new case should be done here very soon. And that's going to allow you to use the wide angle or the telephoto lens. So I would use the telephoto lens and 40 to 50 zoom on your Vortex. And I know I just said try not to, but you can use a little digital zoom, and I think that should help clear it up. Also, make sure everything's clean. Check and make sure you don't have fingerprints on your camera. Absolutely make sure that your spotting scope glass, the eyepiece, and the objective are clean, and that's going to give you the best results possible.
And you can also, so if you do back that magnification out a little bit on the optic, you can do some post processing on the video and crop the video in as well. That may help. Like Tanner said, back that magnification off to 40 or 50, and yeah, that should help with that. And S21 Ultra as the factory camera settings the best.
For me, just standard settings. You can get in there, if you want to, if you're doing pictures with an iPhone, the new Apple ProRes, it's a raw photo file. And if you're shooting photos, that will give you a lot more flexibility in post-processing, like Tim said. So I like the factory settings, but that's something we'll get into on a different workshop that's a little more advanced.
Yeah, there seems like there are quite a few questions on post-processing, so we'll throw together another webinar on that, another presentation on post-processing, kind of what apps that we like to use, kind of how we do that on our phones or on the computer, because that could be an entire presentation or walkthrough, maybe some video tutorials on YouTube. But just quickly, David, for photos, I like to use the Snapseed app on my phone. That's what I like to use. It's very easy and intuitive. As far as the video goes, we do have a video editing app. And PR and Tanner might be able to touch a little more on that.
Yeah, so the video app, you could build a slideshow also, dropping in photos, but primarily for videos, I use an iPhone, and the standard edit on the iPhone, those usually work pretty well. I try not to mess too much with it because these phones are super smart. You know, that with post-processing, you may be able to adjust the image before you get to that point, you know, on the phone, whether that's with the exposure. I'll just jump into that real quick. So if you're working off just a basic app, you know, our Phonescope camera app does this as well. But if you tap the screen, there's your exposure. So now you can slide that up or down. So if something's, you know, if you're looking up into the sky and you're trying to pull the details out of the shadows, you're probably going to blow out the sky, but at least you'll be able to see, you know, the foreground. But I would suggest trying to play with the exposure a little bit, trying to get it right on the phone. And again, just practicing how to manipulate that image. That's going to get you the best results.
Yep. And so whenever you are setting up your phone and taking pictures, we kind of had this kind of goes into like the blurry image type of common problem. What I like to do is, again, I can't see what you guys can see. But what I like to do is set my phone up, and I use a shutter button whenever and we could talk about that on the next slide or now. So using a remote shutter, but what I do is I try to lock in the focus on whatever I'm taking a picture or video of, and then I'll adjust the once the focus is locked, you can adjust the fine focus wheel on your spotting scope if you have that for optimal clarity, and then I take the picture with the shutter button so it removes any vibration at all in the picture. So it's like you're kind of optimizing every part of the process. So whenever you lock the focus on, your phone focus is locked on that bird or deer or whatever you're taking pictures of. You can adjust the exposure whenever you lock the focus. And then, so optimize that. Then I hit that fine focus wheel just a tiny bit on the scope, and then I take the picture with the shutter button. It sounds a little more complicated than it is, but once you practice a lot, like it actually it's not too bad.
Yeah, and to add to that, well, I was going to add to it, and then I lost my train of thought. Yes. So when you're focusing your spotting scope on your subject, the phone's focus may be different than your eyes. Everyone's eyes are different. Everything focuses different to your eyes. So once you get the phone on there, usually what I'll do is just rock, you know, the focus back and forth a little bit just to see, you know, what's changing, and then really lock it in manually on the scope on the subject that I'm trying to get video or pictures of.
Cool. I'm not sure what else we had on that slide. Let me bump to it real quick. So we talked about vignetting, blurry pictures. We talked about distance. We talked about lighting and how that affects the quality, eye relief, magnifications. The only thing we didn't really talk about, well, we kind of did, the camera switching back and forth depending on, you know, which phone you have and if you zoom or not, and what, you know, do you want to touch on that, Tanner?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I just to keep the cameras from switching, if you do have that problem, digital zoom, that's where you're going to run in, or that's where it's really going to become an issue on a standard camera app, just because when you are, let me jump back into the standard app. So we are centered on the 1x lens at 1x, no zoom, but as you zoom in, as soon as you hit that threshold where the telephoto lens is, it's going to kick you over and switch it. So with that, what we like to do is, sorry, there's a picture of me and my wife, is just use the Phonescope camera app, because then you can zoom in a long, long ways with this particular phone up to 5x digital zoom, and that gets rid of the vignette without switching the cameras. So that is one of the main reasons why we built the Phonescope camera app, was to keep your phone from switching camera lenses.
Okay. Couple questions here. Adam, I was out in the wind the other day, 5 to 10 miles per hour on a professional tripod and head. I still had a lot of shaking. Any tips to help with that? Try to keep your tripod as low to the ground as possible. That will help. And you can also try to weight. I don't know what tripod you have, but a lot of them have like a little hook off the bottom of the post that the head sits on. And you can hang, like a backpack full of bricks off that, or books or whatever, to try to weight that down. But the lower you can get it, the better. If you can try to stabilize that with that, obviously you could be several miles off the road, but if you're just kind of hanging, right around the truck or the car, those are a couple options. Tanner, I don't know if you have anything else on that.
Yeah, no, when you were talking, you can't see me, but I was gesturing with my hands. Get low, get down, get as low as you can. The bigger, the optic you have and the taller it is, it's definitely going to be a lot shakier. Get low, add weight if you can. Yeah, I mean, if you come up for a solution for that, please let us know. It's something that is just one of those factors that you have to just take into consideration when you find yourself in that situation. That's a tough one to beat, especially if you're trying to stand up.
You can also try. I've tried this before. You can also try kind of holding your scope while it's on the tripod, just kind of taking it, just while it's on there, and just trying to hold it, while it's on the tripod. That might help. If you're trying to get footage. It's a tough one. But the remote, Karen asked about the remote shutter. Also, David commented, that'd be awesome if we could have on the shutter button while it's on video. It'd be cool to have a feature where it can take a picture instead of just turning the video off. And I agree, that's something that we can look at making. That would be awesome to do that. That way you don't have to tap the screen to take like the screen grab. So I like that. Karen, Tanner, do you want to show the shutter button? Do you have one of those?
While Tanner's pulling this up.
Yep. No, I've got a shutter button here. So there's the shutter remote. It's just real simple. It's got one button, one switch, and then a charging port. So you're going out into the field, make sure that you charge it. I like to charge mine for 2 hours. That'll get you plenty of use. Switch that on, connect it to your phone via Bluetooth. You don't have to have, any cell service or Wi-Fi, anything like that. Works just specifically on your Bluetooth. And then when you're ready to take a picture, just press the button, and that'll take a picture over here. So I have my timer set up, but as you can see, 3 seconds, snaps a picture. We'll also start and stop video, just depending on the mode that you're in.
Dick, one workaround real quick there, which I know a lot of people do this. That's why I was going to say it out loud. One thing you can do is you can make the video and then go back and stop it and take a screen grab of that portion of the video. That's a really snazzy way to get really clear, crisp, in-action photos. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Either one of you have anything to say about that?
I agree. That's how I do it. I like to shoot video. That's my preference. But if I do need a single frame or whatever, I'll just take a screenshot or a screen grab, and that works perfectly fine for me. I can still print that on at least an 8x10 if you wanted. So that's a great option, is the screen record or screen grab.
David, yeah, man. He again asked about you can't capture single pics in video mode when you're on with the shutter button. that's something that we can bring to the table and see if we can add that feature on the next version of the shutter button. Because I agree that would be pretty cool. Because I do like taking pictures while I'm taking the video, so I do find myself tapping the screen sometimes if something awesome is happening. And
also, just to throw that out there, that may be something that you see in the upcoming version of the app. We are going to start an overhaul on the app. So if you have suggestions, thoughts, feelings, concerns, please message us. I know Tim said this earlier, but support@phonescope.com. Anything you want to see in your wildest dreams in that app, you let us know, and we will see what we can do about creating it.
Cool. Let me see what else we got on the presentation. I think we've discussed a lot of this already. So tips to take better pictures and videos. The number one thing is to take as many pictures as you can and videos. So practice. You know, off the back porch, at the local lake, on the mountain, just use your setup as much as possible. That is going to really help you take better pictures and videos faster. It's going to get you more familiar with your setup, and to where you can find that sweet spot. You know exactly where to go on your phone and your spotting scope or binoculars as soon as you want to. Second thing, Tanner touched on this earlier, keeping your camera and your optic lenses clean. So that's like probably the most underrated piece here, is just keeping your phone camera clean. It can get really dirty just from being in your pocket, and then also your optics as well. So just using a lens cloth or however you want to keep those clean. Everybody has their own personal preference on keeping their optics clean. I know it's a big investment, so definitely take best practices. I think we have some videos on our YouTube on cleaning the optics. I think Tanner put those up.
Yep.
You know, tripods as well. So kind of like depending on what your situation is, kind of how much weight you want to carry, what your budget is, you know, really like, if, you know, a little heavier tripod could be maybe a little sturdier, depending on what kind of head you have as well. If you have like a fluid head or a ball head, you know, it kind of all factors into that. But, you know, if you can find the tripod that you like, that is easy for you to use, you know, if you're trying to pan while you're taking video or just get it set up fast, really focus in on that. And then the shutter button, which we've touched on a bunch here as well during the presentation, is just an easy way to take better pictures without having to tap the phone screen to add that vibration.
Yeah. Just while we're on tripods, Rich asked about the Kanadi Tripod. It's a new tripod on the market. I think it's been on the market for a year now. It's super solid. The whole package is 5 pounds, and that comes with the carbon fiber legs, and those extend up to 68 inches. So it can be a standing tripod if that's what you're looking for. And it also has a nice fluid video head on there. So with Digiscoping, a fluid head is absolutely my favorite thing to have. Just makes tracking a lot smoother and a lot easier versus, say, a ball head or even a less expensive like friction type head. And with your tripod, you do want to check in to make sure that combo, you know, the legs and the head is heavy duty enough to handle the weight of your optic and the phone. When you start adding some weight out here on the end, we don't have this issue as much, but with these larger phones, it can cause some issue of this wanting to tip. So that is something you want to check on when you are shopping for a tripod or a head, is that the carrying weight is within, you know, it's enough to handle your setup. But the Kanadi tripods have been great. They've got 3 sections that just twist and adjust, so it's really easy to just deploy that. A solid tripod to look for.
There was a specific question about tripods. Is the Kanadi more stable than the Vortex Summit SSP? I don't personally. I don't know much about the Vortex Summit. Do you, Tanner? So I can't comment on that.
I do. I used the Summit for a few years. It's definitely a lightweight backpacking tripod. And when you get into lightweight tripods, you're going to sacrifice stability without question. The lighter it is, usually the less sturdy it is. So I would say those are two different things. The Summit is more of a backpacking tripod. The Kanadi I do pack it, but that's because I have a super heavy optic and I have to support it. If it's shaky, to me, it doesn't make sense. Carrying a tripod that can't support my optic. So the Summit is great for backpacking, for sitting down. But if you're looking to stand up or something, for the truck or car that's a little more heavy duty, that Kanadi, I would definitely recommend for that.
Cool. So let me see here. So I think, guys, do you have any other questions at all? Time it now is to ask those before we wrap up the presentation. Just to let you know, we do have a promo code for you guys if you want to check it out or get any new adapters or any accessories we have on the Phonescope website. What's the code, Tanner?
Web15. Web. WEB15. Web15. It's a 15% off promo code.
Yep. So you can use that on phonescope.com. Anything on there that's not on sale, I believe.
Yep, correct. There are a few exclusions. Great time to get a shutter button, or great time to order your new Phonescope case.
Martin, what about a balance rail? I think I've used that on the Swarovski tripod.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you've used it, Tanner?
I have. I haven't used it a lot. It's a little cumbersome for me, but it does work really well. I mean, especially if it is kind of an odd shaped setup or it's heavy on one side, that balance rail can help a ton. But some of your, for instance, this head here, you can adjust, in some cases you can slide your plate forward and that balances it. Now it's starting to rock forward. This particular tripod head, it's a Manfrotto, pretty heavy. It is a fluid video head. And this has a spring to it, so it helps to bring you back to zero when this is undone. As you can see, it brings that back up to about level in most cases. But a balance rail can be a great option. Just not a great option for me. I haven't used it a ton.
Patricia, Tanner uses the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Just answering a question that came in. So he uses the 12 Pro Max. That's what he's been demonstrating with today.
Yeah, really, the smartphones the camera in the smartphone really took a leap. I would say about 3 or 4 years ago. It seemed like there for, maybe 3 or 4 years, starting in, maybe 2015. Camera was good. And then they've really done leaps and bounds to improve, gathering light. And that's critical when you're taking photo and video, is gathering light. So I would look at, the Samsung are great. An S20, even the S10s were really solid. And then, an iPhone 10 on up, the 11 and 12 are very impressive. So that's what I'd look at.
Cool. Any other questions, guys, at all?
Richard, thanks for the comment. That's very nice. Glad we could help.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate everyone kind of hopping on. Just appreciate you guys. All the questions, just hanging on, supporting us, and learning about Digiscoping. We appreciate it. Jeff, I'll just say the code again, Web15. Oh, Tanner dropped it in there. Yep.
Hey, look at us go, me and Kara.
Victor, definitely for Digiscoping, the fluid head, not the ball head on the tripod. Again, it just depends on what you're doing. If you're backpacking and you don't want the extra weight, you can, you could use the ball head. But if you're just looking to Digiscope and get more out of that, definitely a fluid head for sure. So,
yeah, I mean, the ball heads, they work great for photos, I think.
Sure.
I mean, they can even work well for video, but as long as you're not trying to track something, left, right, up, and down, that's when trying to find your subject can be a real pain, especially if it's far off.
David, thanks for that comment on the Phonescope app. So any feedback you guys have, send that over for sure on any of the apps. Happy to try to incorporate that into future app builds. Like Kiara said, we are working on overhauling the Phonescope camera app, so we can. Now's the time to kind of gather all the feedback and suggestions we can, so we can make that app better for you. So, but is that no? I don't see any other new questions come through. But that go ahead.
Linda was just concerned that she had the wrong adapter or phone case. So Linda, if you'll ask,
yeah, we can answer that off. That way over a phone call for sure. So yeah, if she sends her email privately, we can reach out to her.
Yeah, some photos, Linda, some photos of that case that would be helpful, so we can match up and make sure that you've got the correct one. That does happen. They're spitting out phones more than ever. Things are changing faster than ever. So yes, mix-ups will happen, but we're always happy to help with an exchange or a return if need be.
And the Phonescope camera app is free.
It is. Yep.
So that was Jack had that question.
Gene, we are. So I'm hoping that the replay will be sent out afterwards. If I have everything set up right on the webinar, you should get the replay link, so you can watch the rest of the presentation. Hopefully it's there. If not, we'll put on another workshop for you guys. So I don't see any other questions, guys. Anything else that you want to add before we wrap it up?
Just a big thank you. I appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks, guys. All right, so we will sign off here. Any questions, shoot them over to support@phonescope.com. Linda said with the Skope camera app, her setup is working. So
we just may have an alignment. The plate might be over a different camera, and we can definitely help with that. Yeah,
she dropped her email in there, so we'll reach out, Linda. Guys, any questions, anything at all, hit us up at support@phonescope.com, and we will help you out. And then just remember to use that promo code WEB15 to save 15% off. So, thanks, guys. Appreciate you tuning in with us today.
Thanks. See you next time.
Have a good one. Thanks.